Well, good afternoon, Florida. Congratulations on making it to the top 10. My name is Fred Ansell. I'm an attorney with the Department of Justice. I used to work for the Senate Judiciary Committee. I spent a lot of time in this room. You know, this is the room where all of the federal judges, other than the Supreme Court justices, they have their confirmation hearings. They sit right where you are. So you're really in quite a hallowed place here.
I'm Candida Steele, and I'm a judge on the U.S. Civilian Board of Contract Appeals. I hear federal government contract disputes all across the country.
My name is Rick Hardy. I'm one of the Hardy Boys, and I'm professor and chair of the Department of Political Science at Western Illinois University, and I teach constitutional law, and I've been involved in this program since 1987.
Hi, my name is Sofia Suarez.
My name is Carolina Perez. And I'm Adriana Madrazo, and this is our teacher, Miss Rosie Heffernan.
Hi, good to see you.
Thank you. Today's question in Unit 4 is number 3. Congress is the only national legislature in the world whose members are elected both separately from the executive branch and entirely from single-member districts. What are the benefits or advantages of this arrangement? What might be the disadvantages of mingling executive and legislative powers, such as in the British parliamentary system? The disadvantages? Why has the creation of congressional districts been controversial throughout American history?
The legislature ought to be the faithful echo of the voices of the people. The words of framer James Wilson aptly reflect the fundamental principles at the core of American representative democracy. The framers of the Constitution created a legislative branch independent of its governmental counterparts through separate congressional and presidential elections. This system prohibits a fusion of powers where 2/3 of government lie in the same hands. Moreover, the potential for divided government creates a safeguard for the people when the executive branch falls short of their expectations. Congress is not only independent of the executive branch, but each member of the House of Representatives is the voice of approximately 600,000 constituents living within a district. Single-member districting elevates the voices of the people to the chambers of Capitol Hill. Elected every 2 years from their local communities, these legislators are accountable to their neighbors, unlike the members of British Parliament who are strategically assigned to their constituents.
Compared to a prime minister, a president has actually astonishingly few powers. Canadian journalist David Frum's reflection on 2 parallel yet distinct executive offices reflect the core difference between a parliamentary and a presidential system of government. One advantage of mingling executive and legislative powers is that the Prime Minister and Cabinet, as members of both branches, ensure that legislation will be created, passed, and enforced as it was intended. The role of Prime Minister as a majority leader in a unified government also promotes efficiency in the passage of legislation, as well as the guarantee of removal if the chief executive fails to carry out the will of the people. However, the Janus-like role of Prime Minister is not without its disadvantages. Deliberation is sacrificed for expediency. Loyalty in the House of Commons is the only path to the executive office. The Prime Minister is disconnected from his citizens, and elections never result in a divided government.
Our representatives are selecting their voters, as opposed to the voters selecting their representatives. President Barack Obama's statement reflects the controversies surrounding congressional districts. Federalism reserved the power of elections. Article 1 gave states authority to design districts, and the Apportionment Act of 1842 mandated single-member districts. Yet despite these potential appeasements, state legislatures continue to manipulate all 3. Although gerrymandering was deemed unconstitutional in the 1993 case of Shaw v. Reno, numerous cases have arisen from California to Florida, where legislative majorities have used the pen of partisanship to draw congressional districts. While strategic malapportionment was laid to rest in Reynolds v. Sims, de facto discrepancies seen in states such as Montana and Wyoming, as opposed to Rhode Island, have caused inconsistencies upwards of 400,000, tested the principle of one person, one vote, and have proven the words of James Wilson, that waters of bitterness have flowed from unequal representation.
When the Bay of Pigs failed, President Kennedy called in the director of the CIA and he said to him, "If we had a parliamentary system, I would resign. But we have a presidential system, so you're going to resign." What counts for that difference between the two systems, and which approach do you think is the better one?
The difference between the two systems is that under the British parliamentary system, there exists something called a no confidence vote. When that vote is a vote placed directly against what the Prime Minister is trying to pass, and when that occurs, the Prime Minister usually steps down or has to go to the country, enabling another Prime Minister to take his place when public opinion and confidence is lost within that office.
Whereas in the American presidential system, a president can use his inherent powers, such as executive orders, executive agreements, to get actions passed without the approval of Congress. And therefore, if Congress does not agree with something that he does, he's still in his term for the next 4 years or however long of his term lasts until his election is up again.
The presidential system could be more favored in this situation because although a prime minister would have a no confidence vote and then therefore step down from office, a president has time within his 4-year term to remedy whatever situations he might come and see the long-term effects of whatever policy he might incur.
I would have to respectfully disagree with my colleague in that a no confidence vote is an effective measure implemented within the British parliamentary system, because it would eliminate the lame duck period that when public opinion goes down, such as under President Herbert Hoover or George W. Bush within their last terms, they could be removed from office and the following president can pass measures expediently, such as during the Great Depression. The issues would have been solved from the beginning instead of waiting for President Hoover to carry out the remainder of his term.
Isn't geographical representation now undermined by so much money coming in from out of the district that it undermines what our framers had in mind by representation? What can be done to change that?
Representation should keep in mind geographic, natural geographic boundaries, as seen under the Fair Districts Florida initiative, which will be voted on by the Floridians in November. That districts must be drawn to be compact, as compact as possible, and equal in representation, while recognizing natural geographic boundaries.